The newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. The health department says the vaccine did not cause the death of the local health worker who passed away after getting inoculated. Technical Advisory Group member Dr. Edsel Salvania explained that the health worker died from a COVID-19 infection and not because of the vaccine. He explained that the virus must have already incubated in the body of the person before he or she was inoculated with the first dose. This means the vaccine was not given in time to protect the health worker from contracting the virus.
Kasi yung bakuna natin hindi nagiging fully effective until we get 2 doses and 2 weeks after that. So kung 4 weeks yung agwat ng first and second dose, it will take about 6 weeks to get the full protection. Pagkamat meron ng partial protection mga 2 weeks after the first dose. Yung ikinamatay niya po talaga is COVID. And alam po natin, the vaccines do not cause COVID eh.
Vaccine supplies for the private sector under tripartite agreements are set to arrive in the third quarter. And for Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles, that's perfect timing. On 1PH, sa totoo lang, Nograles said the scheduled rollout of vaccines for the general workforce will come just around the time when the sector is targeted to be next in line for inoculations. Nograles explained that by the second quarter, the government hopes to inoculate essential workers and the indigent population. And once supplies from the tripartite agreements arrive in the third quarter, the private sector can immediately proceed with their rollout.
It appears na sa second quarter of this year, meaning to say April, May, and June, nandun na po tayo sa tinatawag natin na senior citizens natin. And hopefully, if more doses come, maisasama na rin po natin yung ating mga essential workers and indigent population. So that's for the second quarter. Again, depending on gaano kadami ang magiging supply natin ng vaccine. But ideally, dapat within the second quarter, which is April, May, and June, and nandun na tayo sa senior citizens plus essential workers and some of our, or nakapag-umpisa na tayo sa indigent population. Para pagdating po ng karamihan ng mga doses na prinamis through the tripartite agreement with the LGUs, with the private sector, sa third quarter, then halos maging kasabay na rin yan ng ating priority list, down the priority list na nandito na tayo sa workforce natin.
Meanwhile, the Employers Confederation of the Philippines believes that the private sector has the means to ramp up the country's vaccine procurement. In an interview with Radio 5's Ted Filon, ECOP President Sergio Luis Ortiz said their group, along with the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and other private associations, have asked the government to allow them to directly procure COVID-19 shots from accredited sources. Luis Ortiz said this could speed up the purchasing of vaccine supplies and prevent yet another lockdown due to the surge in COVID-19 cases.
In any way, kung mabibili ng private sector, bibilis yun. At kasi ang problema ng gobyerno, limitasyon, hindi naman nakakapag-down payment ng gobyerno eh. Alam mo naman yung mga kalaban natin, yung mga mayayamang country, US, Europe.
One compound in Mayon Street, Mandaluyong has been placed under granular lockdown after 8 of its residents contracted COVID-19. Barangay officials closed off the entrance of the compound earlier today. They said the compound had only one COVID-positive patient last time, but it spread to that person's spouse and 6 other neighbors living in the compound. Now, all 99 residents of the compound in Barangay Malamig will not be allowed to leave their homes for 5 days and would have to undergo swab testing. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. An expert warns against the use of anti-parasitic drug Ivermectin against COVID-19. On 1PH sa Totoo Lang, Dr. Ronchin Solantes said that although the drug has been recommended in some small countries, bigger nations like the United States and UK have yet to recognize this as coronavirus medication. Solantes said there's still a lack of evidence backing the ivermectin's supposed benefit against COVID-19. The FDA has yet to approve the drug for use on COVID patients.
Konti pa lang yung study that it will really work, no? So, kung merong mangyayari sa pasyente, mga side effect ng gamot, siguro kailangan nating tingnan yan sa aspetong ganoon, no? Na ang side effect ng gamot over the benefit.
Half a millennia ago, Portuguese navigator Ferdinand Magellan led the world's first circumnavigation. And with this, the Philippines first carved its name on history. But when exactly did the Spanish fleet arrive in the country's shores? And should Filipinos even be celebrating an event that led to the Spanish occupation? Let's find out in this report by mobile journalist Stanley Gahete.
For two generations of Filipinos, this was the song that helped define their sense of early Philippine history.
On March 16, 1521, when Philippines was discovered by Magellan.
March 16, 1521, Magellan supposedly discovered what would later be called the Philippine Islands. This was chronicled by Antonio Pigafetta and immortalized by 70s pop singer Yoyoy Villame. But 500 years later, the exact date had to be corrected. Magellan really landed in Homonon Island, Samar on March 17, 1521. Pigafetta failed to adjust his dates after crossing the international date line. This is now the date commemorated by the island and the National Quincentennial Commission. Another point in dispute that Magellan discovered the Philippines. Historians say that Magellan did not come as a conqueror of savages. In fact, Magellan and his men look more like refugees who met an advanced but foreign culture.
The Filipinos and the Europeans discovered each other. Akala natin dumating yung mga Espanyol, all-powerful. Apparently, tayo pala yung nagbigay sa kanila ng comfort.
Magellan's arrival would eventually lead to colonization of what he then called Islas de San Lazaro. The Portuguese explorer set sail under the Spanish flag on a mission to find a new passage through the west. And as part of the deal, he would carve a new path for conquistadors and evangelists. But that was still far in the future.
So yes, colonialism was bad, but let us not also forget that today, we have a strong relationship with Spain. We have to continue the cultural exchange as our ancestors did.
And in the end, it was Magellan's expedition that would circumnavigate the world to show people that one does not fall off the end of the earth. At least in that respect, Filipinos carved their name in history by making sure that Magellan's expedition would survive and make it around the world.
Kung hindi pinakain ng mga Pilipino, yung mga Espanyol dito, patay na sila, it would have delayed the scientific discovery of our world. Kung ano ba talaga yung mundo natin.
Stanley Gahete, we are One News.
Sorry, parang tayo yung...
And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 1 in the afternoon as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.